Have you ever wondered how artists get that final pop on their watercolor paintings, like shiny reflections, bold flower petals, water droplets on leaves or even window panes, soft clouds, foamy ocean waves, those vibrant glowing skies? There's just so many things that you can do once watercolor is dry. So in today's video, I'm going to show and compare all my favorite tools to get these effects, and at the end, we'll apply them on actual paintings. Starting with the beginner favorite, we've got HIMI pan gouache. It comes in jelly-like pans and tons of colors, and it's sealed in a container that helps them stay wet longer. They will crack over time, which is totally normal. You just have to re-wet them and they're good to go. These aren't professional grade, so the quality and pigment load can vary, and sometimes you'll need to watch out for mold, but for practicing and adding quick touches, I still reach for them. Next up is our traditional gouache. You can get these in jars like this or in tubes. It comes in multiple colors. It typically dries more matte. We're going to go more into this when we test them out on paper. Then we have our acrylic gouache. This one is similar, but once it dries, it's waterproof and it dries with a little bit more of a shiny top coat. You can also get these in different colors. Then we have P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. This stuff is legendary. It's like a power tool for sharp, crisp highlights, super thick, super opaque. Acrylic inks are super fluid and vibrant, and they're permanent once dry. You can use them with a dip pen, brush, or even splatter techniques. They're highly pigmented and they come in different colors. It looks beautiful over and under watercolor. Next up, we have acrylic markers. They're little game changers. I've got a mix here from Shuttle Art and Grabby. There are higher end brands like Posca, but the Shuttle Art markers are a bit sheerer and they have a really nice brush tip for softer strokes. And then the Grabby is a little bit more opaque, great for those punchy whites or colors on top. You'll be able to see the difference in our demo coming up shortly. Next up, we have gel pens. These are everywhere. They're so useful. You've probably seen Sakura Jelly Roll, but my favorite is the Signo Uniball. These are great for tiny accents and even line work. Next up, we have pencils. I have a pastel pencil, a wax-based colored pencil, an oil-based colored pencil. We can use oil pastels, which add such a cool textural element. Chalk pastels and pastel pencils are one of my absolute favorite to layer over my watercolor paintings. All right, now we can test them out in action. This is our traditional gouache. You can see here that it goes on pretty opaque. This can dry matte and it is layerable, but it's not waterproof. So it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes to get the hang of gouache. You can layer colors over it and you can mix these just the same you would with watercolor. It's sort of in between watercolor and acrylic. So it is buildable, as you can see here. Layers beautifully and you can mix colors just as you would with watercolors. Next, we will go on to our acrylic gouache. Now this one will dry waterproof. It won't lift, so it's great for locking in highlights and building like those bold final strokes. It has a flatter, more graphic feel and it dries more opaque than traditional gouache, but once it's dry, it is permanent, so no reactivating or adjusting this layer. But this one also layers beautifully. Again, it's just a little bit more opaque, but if you're using this on your palette or your brush, it will dry. So make sure that you clean out your brushes thoroughly. Unlike with gouache, you can reactivate it. Then we've got our Dr. P.H. Martin. Again, I love this stuff. It is a super powerful tool. It's super thick, super opaque, great for tiny little details, water droplets, splatter. Just make sure that you stir it before you use it because it does tend to settle. But you can see here that it also goes on like real opaque, and you can do the same exact thing, and you can water this down a little bit also, like with both of the mediums here. So it really depends on which one you prefer using. Acrylic ink is also very similar to Dr. P.H., but it is a little bit more fluid and vibrant and also permanent once it's dry. So you can use them with a dip pen or a brush or even for splatter techniques as well. I like to use them almost like traditional watercolor inks and I paint very flowy with them. They come in so many different colors, unlike the bleed proof white, but inks are so much fun to play with. I prefer the acrylic ink just because I do like the permanence and I love how highly pigmented their colors are. And now we're going into our acrylic markers. So this is the Shuttle Art. This is an ink based and it's opaque, but it's a lot sheerer. But I do love the brush tip and how you can make a little bit more painterly details. And this is a color you can't really see because it's a light blue, but they do have colors. So you can go over your watercolor paintings, add in different colors. These ones will dry a little less shiny And then we have the grabby one, which has the nib on it that you have to press down to get out that acrylic paint, which is a lot thicker, but this one does dry a little bit more shiny, but you can see it's a lot more opaque than the shuttle art. So it really just depends on what brand you go for and what look you're going for. They both work really great over acrylic, and you can even pair them. Now we have our gel pens or jelly pens. This is the Jelly Roll. The Jelly Roll isn't my favorite, but it is really nice. I love to use these to outline flowers. It gives it almost like an illustratory or just fun graphic look. You can make water droplets with these. You can do little fine details, little stars. My personal favorite is the Uniball Signo White. I find it to be more creamier and more opaque and less scratchy, except today it's not really holding up to that. But usually I do prefer this one over the Jelly Roll. It could be the texture of this paper, but these are really, really just great, as you can see, for adding highlights, and I do this often with a lot of my paintings. For line work or adding those little tiny, tiny dots or stippling or just little details. Next up we have our oil pastels. These do not dry, but they have like a really awesome texture. So if you're looking to create a really cool textural element, adding these on top or underneath it's a really great way. If you haven't seen our resist technique video, which I posted last, you should check that out. Next we have Polychromos. This is an oil-based watercolor pencil, and you can see it's soft, subtle. It's really pretty. You can get serious details. This is white, obviously, so if you wanted to do on top of a whole paper, you can do something like this, or you can use the colored ones to go around your watercolor. Now this is our wax base. You can see it's definitely a little bit darker, more opaque, and it's just a little bit different, but they're basically virtually the same. But this is also a great way to add some white details. And of course there are colored pencils, so I can show you how that might look. So I'm just going to use the green here. This is an oil-based one. It's cadmium yellow, not really green, but you can just see the difference. It's so soft and subtle. And then we can try that out with the wax pencil on the other one. So this is giving you kind of the same effect, but it's just a little bit more opaque. And then we have crayons. We just had to try these out. So you can't really see the white, but it is great for layering and again resisting. But then you can also use colors. So the colors, they would work well over watercolor. Maybe not over dark watercolor, but it would look really pretty over a lighter, pretty floral painting or something. Next up we have pastel pencils. These are my absolute favorite way to add texture and movement into my paintings. You can obviously get sharp, crisp lines, or you can sort of blend these out or create some like really nice loose strokes and just add some more flow to your paintings, or some very muted skies. And I'm going to show you after in the demo how I've done this, but this is one of my favorite ways. I'm using one of the chalk sticks here, but these come in all different colors, not just white. And it's just a really, really fun way to brighten up your paintings and create so many awesome effects. So next up, I'm going to show you how I use these in action. So first we have our cherry. So I showed you in a video of lifting how you can get the white, but if you don't want to lift, you can use gouache or acrylic gouache or any of these whites on top of your cherries and blend them out and create a beautiful shine. You can also do this on strawberries by stippling and creating shine with the bleed proof ink or the acrylic, whichever one that you prefer using. And you can make these really cool raindrop effects by creating outlines like this. Now of course you have to add in some shadow here, which I haven't done yet, but this is how you're going to get that really cool raindrop or water drop effect. You can use colored gouache to go on top and make very beautiful details or intricate details. And I'm using the gel pen to do the same exact thing to create water drops. And you can do this depending on what you prefer. And then I'm using some of that pastel in the background and give it really pretty whimsical pastel pencil to create lines and details. And then we've got some of that acrylic gouache creating this beautiful foamy ocean. You can do this with the bleed proof, the traditional gouache, and just little fluffy clouds as well. I'm just using a fluffy brush and I'm dabbing that on there, and this is going to really give you a really pretty fluffy soft texture. And you can also use colored gouache in the skies to create vibrancy. So I just love it for also creating little details. So I'm using that really bright pink and I use it in the middle of my florals. You can use dark gouache around your paintings. You can use it to create texture, or you can completely erase out a painting. So that's how I use all these tools to finish off a painting with shine, texture, detail. I hope this gave you some fun new things to try. Which one you're most excited to play with, and if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Next up is negative painting, so if you've ever been curious about how to paint around your shapes to make them pop, then I will see you there.